Hey, boy, you lost? We don't serve your kind here.
A cop slammed one of the twins against the hood of a cruiser, his face grinding into the cold metal as another officer shouted, "Stay down." The crowd watched, silent, as blood trickled from his lip under the blinding red and blue lights. The laughter in Murphy's Roadhouse stopped the moment they walked in. Two tall black men, broad-shouldered, clean-cut, wearing plain jackets, stepped through the doorway like they didn't belong to the noise. Heads turned, drinks paused mid-air, a dart missed the board. Behind the counter, the bartender's smile faltered. At the far end of the bar, a man in uniform whispered something to the cop beside him. Three officers turned. One reached for his belt. The twins froze, exchanging a look, calm, silent, years of discipline in their eyes. They came here for a drink after years of service, but tonight, service didn't matter. Only skin did. Marcus and Elijah Davis had been inseparable since birth, mirror images with different paths. Marcus, older by 3 minutes, had taken to leadership early. Discipline carved into his posture, his voice steady as stone. He'd risen to captain in the U.S. Navy, commanding men twice his age. Elijah, quieter but sharper, chose the sea. The Navy SEALs became his family, a world of grueling nights, silent missions, and scars no one saw. Commander Davis, they called him. Tonight was supposed to be simple. After 8 years apart, the brothers met halfway, in a small roadside bar outside Charleston. No uniforms, no medals, just beer, laughter, and old memories. The place smelled of sweat, whiskey, and fried onion rings. A football game blared on TV. Neon lights flickered red against the damp windows. They talked quietly, about their late father, a veteran too, about how Mom still waited by the porch every evening, about how proud she'd be to see them home. But peace has a way of turning fragile when ignorance enters the room. Across the bar, whispers grew. A woman clutched her purse closer. Someone muttered, "They don't look local." Marcus noticed. Elijah didn't care, until the door opened again, and 3 police officers walked in, heavy boots echoing against the floor. The officers' presence changed the air. Laughter dimmed. The jukebox fell silent. The lead cop, Sergeant Rickson, red-faced from drink, locked eyes with the twins. He didn't ask who they were. He didn't need a reason. He had assumptions. He pointed towards them. "You two, step outside." Marcus raised his brows but didn't move. Elijah stayed calm, his jaw tightening ever so slightly. They'd both faced guns before, but never in their own country, never for this. Rickson took a step closer, his hand hovering near his holster. "You heard me." Behind him, another officer blocked the door. A hush swept through the bar. Phones lifted. Cameras started recording. Marcus exhaled slowly. Every instinct in him wanted to de-escalate. Years of training whispered, "Control the situation." He spoke gently, not with words, but with his presence. Shoulders relaxed, eyes steady. But prejudice doesn't read calm. It only sees threat. The officers closed in. The bartender, pale and trembling, tried to say something, but stopped when Rickson shot her a look. Rickson reached for Elijah's jacket. "Sir," Marcus began, voice firm, low, commanding. But before the word could land, Elijah's arm was twisted behind his back, shoved against the counter. Glass shattered. The crowd gasped. Someone muttered, "Just comply." Elijah didn't fight back. He could have. With one move, he could have disarmed all 3, but training screened restraint. His breathing slowed. His pulse stayed even. Marcus's fists tightened. His brother, a decorated SEAL commander, now pressed against a bar counter like a common criminal. Rickson sneered. "Where'd you get this money, huh? Fake bills?" Elijah said nothing. He looked at Marcus. That silent communication only twins understand. Don't. Not here. Marcus reached slowly into his jacket, not for a weapon, but for his wallet. The moment his hand moved, guns came out. "Hands up!" Screams. Chairs scraped. Someone ducked. Marcus froze. The entire bar held its breath. The air smelled of metal and fear. And then a voice cut through it all. Calm. Measured. The voice of command. "Sergeant Rickson," Marcus said quietly, his tone shifting from civilian to authority. "You're pointing a weapon at a superior officer." Rickson blinked. Confusion flickered. Marcus pulled out his identification, a black leather case, heavy with embossed gold. U.S. Navy Captain. Next to it, Elijah's ID. United States Navy SEAL Commander. The silence that followed was deafening. The bartender gasped. The bar TV flickered with breaking news. A ceremony honoring Commander Elijah Davis and Captain Marcus Davis for distinguished service. Their faces, smiling in uniform, filled the screen. Rickson's arm lowered, trembling. His lips parted, but no words came. The other officers stepped back, shame washing over their faces. For a moment, no one spoke. Marcus looked at them, not with hate, but disappointment so deep it burned. Then he turned to his brother. "Let's go." They walked out slowly, the crowd parting in silence. Outside, the night air was cool and still. Crickets chirped faintly beyond the parking lot. Behind them, the bar door creaked open. Rickson followed out, hat in hand, his voice low and shaking. But Marcus didn't turn. He kept walking, boots crunching against gravel, the faint hum of the highway ahead. Elijah stopped once, looking back, not at the man, but at the flashing red lights reflecting off the windows. Those lights had followed them their whole lives, in traffic stops, store aisles, school hallways. Only tonight, they revealed something else: fear, guilt, and realization. Rickson muttered something like, "I didn't know," but the words fell flat in the heavy air. Because ignorance isn't an excuse. Not anymore. Marcus unlocked the car door, the overhead light washing their faces in amber. He looked at his brother and said quietly, "All these years fighting for freedom, and it's still not free." Elijah nodded. His knuckles were scraped, his jacket torn, but his voice stayed calm. "Maybe that's why we keep fighting." As they drove off, the bar lights faded behind them, leaving only silence and the echo of a lesson too heavy for words. The story spread the next day. A shaky video uploaded by a bystander hit 1 million views overnight. Officers harass Navy heroes. News anchors dissected it. Comment sections burned with outrage, defense, and disbelief. But the twins stayed silent. They didn't sue. They didn't call for revenge. They went back to duty. Because justice to them was never about punishment. It was about awareness. Weeks later, Rickson stood outside a Navy memorial. He'd requested to meet them, not as an officer, but as a man who finally saw. Marcus shook his hand. Elijah didn't. Both looked him in the eye, and in that silence lay every unspoken truth about America, race, and dignity. When the news cameras tried to capture it, Marcus refused interviews. He said only one line before walking away. Respect should never depend on recognition. And that was it. That night, somewhere across the ocean, two men stood on a deck beneath the stars. Brothers, soldiers, survivors. The world saw heroes in uniform, but they knew the truth. Heroes aren't born in war. They're made in moments like that bar, where restraint beats rage and dignity defeats hate. Because the greatest victories don't happen on the battlefield. They happen in silence, when good men choose peace over pride. In a world where judgment still comes before understanding, will we ever learn to see the uniform beneath the skin?